Muy buenas tardes, profesora y estudiantes. Mi nombre es Kenneth Kelly y seré su moderador de la clase del día de hoy. Antes de comenzar, le diré algunos parámetros sobre nuestras clases por Zoom. Le recordamos a todos nuestros estudiantes que las clases son grabadas para que puedan verlas nuevamente en nuestra plataforma virtual de CETES. Les solicitamos que por favor silencien su micrófono y puedan activarlo cuando quieran hacer alguna consulta o aporte siempre y cuando con el permiso del profesor. También le pedimos que mantenga su cámara activa. De no poder hacerlo, darse excusa mediante el chat de Zoom. De lo contrario, serán retirados de la clase y se le restarán puntos en la heterovaloración del docente. Mi rol como moderador es facilitar y apoyar en la parte técnica de la clase. Cualquier consulta que tengan, pueden hacerla chat personal o general. Se les exhorta a tener bolígrafo y papel para hacer todas sus anotaciones y aprovechar al máximo de esta clase. Esta sesión tiene un tiempo de duración de 1 hora. Le concedo la palabra a la profesora Aylin Santana.
Hello students, so welcome to this class. And today we're going to work in the presentation number 3. So let me share with you the presentation. Sorry for the noises. Okay, so today we're going to work in the module number 2, sorry. Okay, review of the previous class. So the last class was about the cooperative learning. So cooperative learning, students work in this case, okay, students work together in small groups and structure activities. They are individually accountable for their work, and the work of the group as a whole is also assessed. So cooperative learning groups work face-to-face and learn to work as a team. In small groups, students can share strong hands and also develop their weaker skills. They develop their interpersonal skills and they learn to deal with conflict. When cooperative groups are guided by clear objectives, students engage in numerous activities that improve their understanding of subject explored. Okay. Cooperative learning strategies. Reading number 2. The process of cooperative learning involves students working together in small groups and structured activities. The members of the group learn to work as a team as accomplish as a specific goal, to solve a problem, to complete a project, or to develop a product. Teachers hold students accountable individually, but also assess group work. Students are responsible not only for the learning the material, but also for ensuring that the other members of the group learn the material too. So with this information, let me show you the first video for the class. Okay,
Protección antibacterial superior.
The jigsaw strategy is a cooperative learning strategy that helps children with their reading comprehension. It's a multi-step strategy that involves the use of home groups and expert groups. Before we jump into the classroom, though, let's break down all the steps involved. First, students start in their home groups. Each student has a different text, but all readings are related to the same main topic. For example, gardening. Next, they move off to their expert groups, which bring together students reading about the same subtopic. So every student studying vegetables would be in the same expert group. By discussing the subtopic together, they can become experts in it. Finally, the expert groups break apart and the students return to their home groups. Now, each of the students is an expert in one area of the main topic, and they can share that information with the students in their home groups. In essence, each student has become a piece of the puzzle, and when they come together, they help each other form the big picture. Now that we've seen the graphic representation, let's watch Kathy Doyle and her students put the strategy into action.
I want to know what you remember about the jigsaw strategy. Keith?
We went to different home groups.
And then you remember moving your body to another table. Does anyone remember when you got to that other table and you met with other kids who all read the same thing that you read? What was that group called? Deja?
It was called an expert group.
An expert group. When you're done with your discussion at your expert group, it's time for you and your expert friends to go ahead and figure out what was the main idea of what I read? What are some of the details that I want to report back to my home group? So together you're going to fill out a graphic organizer kind of like this. So you guys will all have your own because you will eventually leave that expert group and go off to report to your home group. So the first thing I'm going to give you is a clipboard. So when I call your name and I tell you where you're headed, I'm going to give you 4 clipboards and they're all ready to go. You are going to use your new text that I'm giving you. There are directions on here if you forget what you're supposed to be doing.
It's now time to head off to the home groups. Let's follow Maya, who's going to become the herb expert in her group.
And I would like the story too.
In the home groups, each student reads an appropriately leveled text about a different subtopic of gardening, jotting down notes as they go. Maya will cover herbs, Savion will study flowers, and Moya will learn about vegetables. Kathy keeps an eye on kids as they work to make sure they understand the assignment and stay on track.
So tell me, what did you learn so far? Did you read the first page yet?
Yeah.
What did you learn on this first page?
I learned on this first page, that they use herbs to put spice in food and cook
So
it.
herbs, they're actually called herbs. They use herbs to put spices in food. Why don't you jot that down? Did you know
Next,
what
the
herbs
students
were
are off to
before
their expert
you read this?
groups. There, Maya will get to talk shop with the other students studying herbs.
It is time to move to expert groups. So I am going to say a number, because your expert group is a number. Look at the text you are reading, and if that text says number 1, I want you to move here. Look how quickly Moya moved. I love it.
And we're off again. In the expert group, the students will ask each other questions and pull out facts from their reading.
Most herbs are easy to grow.
I learned that sometimes they need water every day.
I learned that gardeners plant herbs outside.
Herbs are putting food to spice things up. Let's start working on this.
After discussing the topic, students decide what key facts they will report back to their home groups. Kathy has the kids use graphic organizers to help them arrange and remember the information.
If that's your main idea, what are some special things about herbs? Do you know? I'll give you a minute to write it down.
Well, each of us could use one of the things off of
The facts that you've written down, you're
our
right.
facts.
That's true. Each of you could use one of the facts. So do you want to share one, Maya? What's your fact?
Well, my fact, I would put down pot plants dry out faster than outside gardens.
Okay, what about you? What are one of the details you'd like to put about that's special about herbs?
They need very little care.
That is special.
Once their organizers
If you're
are
a gardener,
complete, the
everybody
students
loves
are
a
ready
plant
to
that needs
return
very
to their
little
home
care,
groups
don't
to
you think?
report.
So the best part of Jigsaw, when we get to come back home as an expert reporter and report to our group all that we know. So it's time to do this. I want to remind you that it is your job to actively listen to everyone who reports. Antonio, because I'm actually going to ask you, what did you learn from Virginia? What did you learn from Moya? I want you to go back home and bring with you the graphic organizer. It's like a poster that will help you report to your group. Green group, go back home.
As the final step in Jigsaw, each student teaches the other in their home group about the subtopic they researched. So Maya shares what she's learned about herbs.
Cooks use herbs to put spices on food.
And the others teach her about growing flowers
It takes over a week to grow flowers.
and gardening with vegetables.
You can grow lettuce, spinach, and tomatoes in your house.
As a wrap-up, Kathy has the whole class come together and share what they've learned from each other.
Garden.
It's time to move to the carpet in the front to share. Okay? So I'm asking you to move. You don't need to bring anything. Just bring yourselves, and all your new knowledge is up here. Okay? It's all up here, so you only need yourselves. I really want you to think about what happened in that home group at the end and think, who taught me something? Because this time I don't want you to tell me something you read. I want you to tell me about something you learned from a reporter friend.
In growing herbs, I overheard Isaac say that herbs don't really need much care.
Okay, so under growing herbs, in this learning community, you heard so much teaching going on.
Even
that
though
you
he wasn't in
overheard.
my group.
He wasn't even in your group and you learned something. Herbs don't need much care. She even credits Isaac for that fact. Antonio?
Other gardeners plant flowers to feed butterflies, birds, and
So
bees.
flowers are sometimes planted to feed. Tell me the difference between annuals and perennials. Did anyone learn about annuals and perennials?
Annuals stay for 1 year, and perennials stay for more than 1 year.
Excellent. Deja.
When I was reading my book, Growing Vegetables, they said on one of the pages, they said some gardeners say if you grow in your own backyard, it has a better taste.
Jigsaw supports students' comprehension and their skills in working together, but it's not without its cost. Jigsaw requires a lot of advanced planning and organization. You saw Ms. Doyle use colors and numbers to help her students navigate themselves around the classroom. She also had to think pretty carefully about the groups that she formed, for their expert groups, but also for their home groups. Teachers could make use of parent volunteers or instructional assistants to help work with each small group. And teachers should also think pretty carefully about the reading material that's assigned to each group. Last, you'll want to find a meaningful way for students to pull together all the information they learn from all the experts. One of the main benefits of Jigsaw, however, is that every student is accountable for their work. As an expert, they're accountable by sitting in their small groups and participating in that reading. And then back in the home group, every student is accountable because they're the expert on the material. and something I think you'll find your students really enjoy.
Okay, so as a reminder, it's important to recognize or remind all the information about the cooperative learning that involves the structuring classes around small group, as you know, as you can see in the example in the video. Work together in such way that each group members is independent of the group space. Okay, so the cooperative learning can also be contrasted with what is not, or cooperation is not having a sit side by side at the same table to talk with each others as they do their individual assignments. So the cooperation is not a seen assignment. Report to a group of students where one student does all the work and the others put their names on the project as well. Okay, so why use cooperative learning? So the cooperative learning with traditional classroom instruction using the same teachers, the same curriculum, and the assessment. And the students who engage in cooperative learning learn significantly more or remember it longer and develop very critical thinking skills than their counterparts in traditional lecture classes. Okay, so students enjoy the cooperative learning more than traditional lecture classes, so they are more likely to attend classes and finish the course. And the students are going to jobs that requires teamwork or cooperative learning help the students develop the different kind of or this kind of skills necessary to work on projects too difficult and complex for any one person to do in a reasonable amount of time. So the cooperative learning process prepares the students to assess outcome linked to accreditation. Okay, how to use a cooperative learning? A cooperative learning exercise can be as simple as 5 minutes in class exercise or as complex as a project with the course's class period. And this can be described more generally in terms of low, medium, and high faculty, students, time investment. So you can vary the time that you can use to develop the different activities inside your classroom, okay? So cooperative learning can be used across a wide range of classroom settings, ranging from small to large lecture, well, as an online classroom. You can take this kind of examples to put in practice. So no matter what the setting is, properly designing and implementing cooperative learning involves in different steps, okay? So you can take an example, the critical or the state is critical to ensuring that the 5 elements that I have to mention, the different cooperative learning for simple putting students into the groups are met. So now let me mention the different techniques that you can use inside of this information. So cooperative learning techniques can be loosely categorized by the skill that is in hand. So also it is important to recognize that the many cooperative learning exercise can be developed to fit with multiple categories. So categories include the discussion, the reciprocal teaching, the graphic organizer, as you can see in the video, the writing and problem solving or solutions. So each category includes a number of potential structures to guide the development of a cooperative learning exercises. So the category of a problem solving helps to develop strategic and analytical skills and includes different exercises such as the send a problem or 3-state 1-tray or structured problem solving and analytical things. Okay. So what are cooperative learning strategies? So the cooperative learning happens when students work in small groups, as you know, and educators are able to use this method in every different levels. Throughout open discussions, students are able to learn from this kind of strategy. So the first one is the positive interdependence. Is when the teachers create an environment or of interdependence in students feel responsible for their own work and group success. The other one is about the face-to-face interaction. In cooperative learning, students engage in discussion, make eye contact with each other, and provide support. The other one is about the individual and group accountability. In a group activity, if a student has an individual role assignment, and this can help the group reach its goal. The other one is about the group behavior. So students can learn behavioral techniques like interpersonal skills, social interaction, and collaborative skills that teach them how to work with others or with all the classmates inside the classroom. And the last one is about the group processing. Toward the end of a project or assignment, students can assess the effectiveness of their group by analyzing how well its members were able to collaborate. Okay, so it's important to keep in mind this. So can I mention another important aspect about the benefits of cooperative learning and the strategies, okay? So the first one is about the higher achievement. The cooperative learning can lead to higher achievement for students and groups. With various levels of competency and individual strengths, students can teach each other new things and help each other excel. Okay. So the second one is about the stronger relationships. Small groups can help students build positive relationships with another. So working to achieve a common goal can help them learn to both contribute and depend on others. So in this case, if you know that you have some students that know how to work and maybe know how to speak in English, and you have another kind of students that doesn't have the base of English, maybe you can make a group and they have to work together and you can see the differences, okay? And the other one is about the more authentic experience. So students might collaborate in groups later when they begin their careers, okay? So cooperative learning can help them practice skills like communicating and defending ideas, resolving conflicts, or disagreeing politely. Okay, and the last one is about the increased motivation. So cooperative learning can increase motivation in students. Understanding their role in a group and others' dependence on them might encourage them to perform well. So in different cases, so the main important thing as a teacher is know your students. So if you know that your students work in a better way, if you motivate all your students, you can obtain better results. Okay, so you have to do the same thing with all your students. Work with motivation. Okay, so with this information, I consider that we can solve the first question. So I put just 4 questions to solve it. Okay, so let me share with you. Okay, so you can use the information that you have in the platform to solve this question, but if you feel that you can find more information about it in the web, you can use it. So let me know when you're ready. Okay. Are you ready?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, go ahead.
Number one, it is
Uh-huh.
a cooperative learning. Okay. Cooperative learning is an institutional method in which students work in a small group to accomplish a common learning goal with the guidance of the teacher. Okay, number two, how to use cooperative learning. Okay, there are several strategies for teachers to use that involve cooperative or group learning, include pair, share, small groups, and mixed skills groupings. But one common strategy that teachers use is called pair share. This can be easily adapted into most classrooms by asking students to collaborate with an elbow partner or person close by. Students can discuss a questions or topic and then share with the whole class. Yeah. That is it for the number two. Okay, number three is what are cooperative learning strategies? The process of cooperative learning involves students working together in small groups on a structured activity. The members of the groups learn to work as a team, accomplish a specific goal to solve a problem, to complete a project, or to develop a product. And the last one mentions some cooperative learning strategies. I found personal interdependence, individual accountability, equal participation, and simultaneous interaction. That's it.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Veronica. So with this information, let me share the last video for the class. So let me find it that is reinforced about the previous information that you received here. So let me share with you.
Protégelo con purina cachao, ahora con probiótico natural y sin colorantes artificiales.
Ideal classroom has lots of cooperative learning, rich in academic discourse. But sometimes teachers can get stuck on what this might look like. So in today's episode, I'm going to talk about simple strategies I use from the book Kagan Cooperative Learning by Dr. Spencer Kagan and Miguel Kagan. Rally Robin. This is where students sit in pairs and alternate giving quick responses back and forth like a tennis match. Since responses in this strategy are meant to be brief, select questions or topics that lend themselves to brevity, like going back and forth with examples of action verbs for a grammar lesson, or examples of important battles for a social studies lesson. This would also work well for listing steps of a mathematical or scientific concept.
Battle of Lexington and Concord.
Battle of Marshmallow Hill.
Battle of Bunker Hill.
The Battle of Bloody Toe. Round Robin. Similar to Rally Robin, but for groups of 3 or more. Have students sit in a circle for this, and I always have students share clockwise from the first person to speak to avoid any confusion about who shares next. I like to switch up who starts by saying things like, person who woke up the earliest go first, or person with the closest birthday goes first. Just like Rally Robin, Round Robin works best for questions that lend themselves to brief responses.
Piranha.
Shark. Goblins.
Snow leopard.
Lion. Hannibal Lecter. Whoops, that's a cannibal, Cheryl, not a carnivore. Timed pair share. This is a meaningful adaptation to your regular think, pair, share. For a timed pair share, each partner shares out for a predetermined length of time, probably about 1 minute for most questions. In that time, the other partner is just listening and may not interrupt or add on. After the time is up, the partners switch roles. This reinforces active listening because the time that each partner is speaking is sacred to them. It also allows students to elaborate on their ideas until the time is up.
And Rip Van Winkle was just like me. It was like looking in a mirror, except I don't have a beard. I'm like, how can I get a beard? I wish that when I got older I could grow one, but I don't know if that's possible given my genetic coding. But then if I had a net, I could just go in the field like Rip Van Winkle. See how he's in this field and the animals? I love animals. I wish I had lots of animals.
Rally coach. This is where students are in partners and one student is solving a problem and the other serves as their coach. That means they're giving the other student feedback in real time. Then the partners will switch roles with a new problem. For this strategy, I strategically have the student that needs more help to be the problem solver first, so they can receive their coaching prior to when they swap roles.
All right, kid, you gotta get in there and show those fractions who's boss. It ain't Tony Danza, it's you, kid. Remember, the denominator stays the same. Add those fractions.
Stand up, hand up, pair up. This is where students stand up, put their hand up, and quickly find a partner to share a response. The purpose of the hand up is to show that the student needs a partner and can quickly identify across the room who is available to partner up with. This strategy can be used to partner up students for a bigger assignment or for just a quick share out of ideas. It's a nice one to use if you can tell energy is low in the classroom or if you just want to get your class up and moving. Those are the strategies I use the most often in my classroom from Kagan Cooperative Learning by Dr. Spencer Kagan and Miguel Kagan. I hope you enjoyed them. I will also provide the link to learn more about them in the description below.
Okay, Veronica, so with this information, I could say that you can make your summarize about the all the information that you received here today. And you have some minutes to complete because remember this class is finished at 15 minutes, right? 7:15, right? Yes. So let me know.
Sorry, teacher, what was your question?
That you have to make your summarize about all the information that you received here today. It's not a question, it's just a summary that you have to bring in. Okay?
Okay, so what can I say on it? Honestly, those strategies are very important when we are going to apply in our classroom. Because it's just to avoid distractions or bad organization between the students and the teachers. So and honestly, I guess that, I mean, in my case, I am not a teacher or something like that, or haven't made giving class for another student, something like that. But I consider that those strategies, the most of the teacher use it. I mean, and are very interesting because I didn't know that some of those strategies has a knee, outer knee or something like that. I didn't know, and that's information, and so in the video, the first video that was it was very interesting because when I was in the high school, I remember that my teachers used those kind of strategies, and I didn't know that that the reason, right, what the teachers make those, for example, those give us a group or something like that. They divide us in groups or something like that, and now I know why they did this kind of things.
Okay.
So, but honestly, it was very interesting teacher this class. Just to know how to apply those strategies in our classroom.
Okay. Thank you, Veronica. So you know the importance of this. So maybe if you have the opportunity in the future, you have all this information, so you can use it. Okay. So with this information I consider that is all for today. And if you have, remember, you have to complete all the assignments in the platform and all the tests. Okay. So you can find the test number 1, the other test I need to check again, and maybe in the rest of the week you can find the other test. Okay. So I don't know if you have any questions, you can write in the forum too. And that's it. That's all for today. Have a nice weekend and the rest of the week, and see you in the next class. Bye.
All right, teacher. So thank you so much. And to you.
Bye. See you.
Gracias, profesora, por compartir sus conocimientos. A la estudiante le deseo una excelente noche. Nos vemos.